We're back with part 2 of our kitchen build, and we're starting out with the worst mistake we made on all of the cabinets.
Holy shit, Alex.
Oh boy. This is just karma, I guess. Win some, lose most, as I always say. But we have to press on because the countdown to countertop day is ticking. Now it's time to tackle the big kahuna, this tall pantry cabinet. It's 90 inches tall by 15 by 24, I believe. I'm going to assemble this to the adjacent wall cabinet above the refrigerator that's right here on their backs. And this side right here is going to get a panel as well. Screw them together on the ground and then stand the whole thing up and move it into place right in this area here. So I got these 3 guys unpacked. I got the easy levelers installed on that one, and the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking it actually might be better to go in 3 pieces instead of 1, or maybe just do the fridge panel and then these 2 by themselves. It's just gonna be a really big bulky thing with this end panel hanging off that little cabinet up there to try to stand this up and maneuver it all the way over there if it's just me and Elena. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do the end panel first against this cabinet here, get that all plumbed up. Then we'll see if it's more convenient to join these 2 and stand them up. I'm not sure how well that's gonna be supported, just hanging off there, because remember we gotta have that 1/4 inch gap between them because of the face frames that stick out. So we might need to rig some support up or something to do that next and then finish it off with the pantry. I almost forgot though, this guy gets a base filler here because there's a wall cabinet adjacent to the same fridge panel that's gonna go right here. Up there, we need to accommodate its door swing to the left. So I'm supposed to rip this to 1.5 inch width or halfway. I'm gonna do this on the table saw though, so it's a nice clean straight cut because we don't need to scribe this to the wall. The fridge panel should be pretty darn flat and the cabinet is obviously pretty flat. I'm screwing from this side to keep the screws hidden after I put the fridge panel on, but unfortunately all I have are these GRK's 3 1/8 inch screws, which are too long by like 1/4 inch. So I'm just gonna snip them off because I don't wanna go buy a whole box of new ones. Not the cheapest fasteners in the world. The key is I've already pre-drilled the hole because if I didn't, then it won't have its drill tip anymore. I should be able to drive this thing in, no problem. Fillers on, and I ripped these strips 1 3/4 kind of spacer strips to give me support on that fridge panel at both the front and back of the cabinets. And I'm kind of hell bent on not letting screws show through the fridge panel. So I'm gonna mock it up, see where these guys land on the fridge panel when I set it against here, and then put screws this direction through the back that are just long enough that they don't come through the panel. Then I'll set the whole thing back up in there and screw through the side of the cabinet into my filler strips. And I did just put some regular shims sort of wedged up underneath where this cabinet is, which is on the easy levels, just so the fridge panel sits at the same height as the cabinet, and therefore it should sit at the right height on the wall.
Look at that. Go, baby. You're so good. You're so smart.
Like a carpenter?
Yeah, you're so good. This has taken me forever. You were like, Elena, figure this out. I'd be like, okay, see you in 6 months.
All right, we now have a freestanding refrigerator panel, and believe it or not, because it's up against a perfectly plumb and level cabinet, it is also perfectly plumb and level. That's beautiful. You probably noticed this little gap back here. That is because this cabinet also has a gap. That's why there's a shim there. It's just because the wall is a little bit bowed in. You're only gonna see this first 18 inches because we'll have an upper cabinet hanging right next to it. And eventually we're gonna put a tile backsplash on here, so it'll totally erase that gap. I think in the meantime, we'll just throw a little bead of caulk back there to hide it. But it was more important to keep it nice and flush right here. So that looks beautiful right there all the way down. Time to get the next one on. Just a random note I was thinking about. For a while, I was thinking about building our own cabinets, but we're just running out of time because we have this wedding brunch coming up and want to get this place ready for it. So that's why we ended up purchasing them, but they are really, really expensive. We were working with the RTA store and that helped, but it is still expensive to put these in. And if you've ever gotten your kitchen quoted out, cabinets are one of the most expensive things. And it never really made sense in my head because it's literally just a painted wooden box. Like, how much could it be? Like, why are these boxes so gosh darn expensive? Thousands of dollars for one box. But the more I work with them, you can really tell that some care was put into these. Fabbywood's a big manufacturer, but they definitely do a good job, especially in the finish department. When I was putting the levelers on this tall pantry, I noticed just how gosh darn nice the finish is. Like, it is like smooth as glass, no imperfections. I could definitely not make that happen in my garage, at least without a lot of trial and error and practice and the right tools. So I think the finish is really one of the most critical things that cabinet makers are just so good at doing in a factory environment. So I'm screwing this together on the floor where it's easy to get them all lined up. I took this door off so I could get underneath the hinge plate and hide my screw, doing the main drilling with a full length screw, and then I will put in this clip down screw in order to not come through the other side of that face frame. Down here, I've just got a shim filling the gap. I'll put a screw here, and then I might do one on the bottom side too if this wall cabinet is gonna be levitating off the side of this guy. All right, well, Elena's dad, Mark, just arrived for the weekend at the perfect timing because we're about ready to lift this up. I've got it all fastened together really well. I think I've got 6 screws in this, 2 in the face frame, 2 down here, just little drywall screws that don't come through the interior of the cabinet, and then 2 just like it up top. So that should pretty much hang off the side. We just have to lift it up and get it up next to the tall pantry. And here's our lifting force. They have arrived. I'm just gonna stand this up. If you just wanna support this, and then we'll really only need 3 people, I think, when it comes time to move the thing.
We're gonna move it back.
All right. Guess let's just go towards the wall. Can we tip it up right?
Yeah.
It's not too bad. All right, we got it.
It's not heavy for me. Is it heavy for you, Dad?
Not really.
Ready?
All right. Your way. Just want to barely touch this. It's just leaning, push up a little bit, Elena, and then, well, I think that's probably close enough for a measurement anyway. Almost forgot to cut the back of the cabinet out for this outlet that is here. This is an adjustable box. That's why it's sticking out from the wall a ½ inch because I set them before we did our Siga tape. The tricky part though is we can't measure up from the subfloor because the cabinet's got to come up. So we need a top datum. So I measured up from our refrigerator panel, 90 inches. It's the same height as our pantry. Put a mark on the wall up there and then put a laser down here at the bottom edge of my box, measured between the mark and the laser. And now I can pull a tape from the top of my cabinet, which is at the theoretical height where it's supposed to be, down, and I'm gonna make my cutout here. To get the side measurement, how far this is into the cabinet, I used a little shim, touched it once we had this cabinet mocked up against the wall here, made a line up against the side, and that will give us how far this is in to the side of the cabinet. So now we can cut. 48 and 13. 48 and 13. There she went. Now just gotta round it over, coat the router.
Here, you get that back side?
Can't really get my fingers in there, so let's do it all from the front. Lift. We're gonna have to shim it out from the wall a little bit.
Well, wait, this plug.
You're down. Holy shit, Alex.
Oh boy. I didn't go up. I thought
measured down from
the laser was at the bottom. Oh geez. Well, what do we do about that? Dang, that would have been perfect too. It didn't go the wrong damn direction. I was thinking that was the top of my outlet. Oh my gosh, that was stupid. All right, just realized that I'm an idiot. Thought my bottom line was the top line. It just so happens that that pantry cabinet was one of the ones that had a slight finish defect on it when we first got it. So coincidentally, we have another whole pantry cabinet with just a little crack in the paint on the face frame. I'm thinking I'm going to swap that one out, swap the old one out with the nice one that I just screwed the hole up on, and then fill that little crack and finish it over the best I can. I also realized that I shouldn't have cut that wide a margin because I have this adjustable box. I was gonna put the outlet like as if it was mounted right inside the cabinet where you won't see any wall or the cover plate around it. It looks like it's just mounted into the cabinet. That was also an oversight, and I guess I could patch that piece of wood back in there and recut a new one out and try to blend the defects with a little blending stain pen or whatever, but it's gonna be quicker, I think, to deal with the small finish defect on the first cabinet. And I feel like it's one of those things, I'm always gonna just open that cabinet and see that patched up rectangle and just be like, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna table the pantry cabinet for right now because the countertop template folks are coming in a couple days and we need to focus on all the rest of the base cabinet. So I'm gonna deal with that in a little bit. In the meantime, I have started unpacking the island and getting it into place. So I'm putting everything on its back. I went ahead and installed all the easy levelers, and now the idea is to fasten them all together as one big unit and stand them up. The only cutout I have to make in these guys is for this piece of flex conduit I have coming up through the floor. There's actually two pieces of Romex in here. One, a dedicated circuit for the microwave, and one is just a continuation of the pantry outlet circuit for the two outlets that are gonna go at either end of the island. I'll have to drill a hole in the bottom of the microwave base cabinet, and then I think I'm gonna put the junction box in this section here. But at least with the open back toe kicks, it's gonna be a lot harder to mess this cutout up, and the fact that it's just a single hole. So I'm gonna go ahead and montage through me screwing these all together, and we'll stand them up and see if we like where they're at. All right, time for the test run. I haven't drilled the conduit hole in the bottom yet because I want to stand this up and make sure we like where it actually sits in the kitchen before I do anything that can't be reversed. Learned that lesson the hard way once already. That was easy. I really like these horseshoe shims that I use to space out in between because they're exactly a 1/16 of an inch thick each. So just got to count 8 of them up, and that counts for my 2/4 inch reveals on my face frame. So just a 1/2 inch spacer. 1/2 inch plywood would work great too. I just didn't have many scraps here with me. And then I can just trim the top off flush with the multi-tool. I always make sure to run the screw through the stack of shims too so it can't ever fall down if something shifts. All right, we've got some mock-up going on now. Inspector is here. She's making sure she likes our distances and our widths, figuring out our overhang depth. We're gonna go with a little bit of a shallower overhang, like a 13, but Countertop guy recommended 15 if we can swing it. So we're just seeing how much or little we might be able to pull this out and still maintain sort of a good walking space between here. We're supposed to stay a minimum of 36 inches, so that the wall there is gonna be our tightest point at this corner. Also mocked up how far the fridge is gonna stick out with this box here and just sort of getting a feel for it. Feels pretty comfortable, honestly. I think from countertop to countertop here, we'll end up at like 41.5, 42 inches, something like that. So it's not gigantic, but definitely comfortable. Two people could easily pass each other. Took a little dinner break, but back at it out here, and it is time to fasten this island in after leveling it, of course. This was the method that I saw on Easy Level's website, actually, just screwing a 2x4 into the floor just behind where the toe kick rough plate's gonna sit. While this was still standing up, I measured relative to these two cabinets over here to make sure it was like parallel to this run. Then marked on the floor where that rough toe kick sat with this line here. Then once it was tipped back, use a scrap to mark this line here. That is where my 2x4 will sit, right? 3/4 inch or so back from my main outside mark. A few general construction screws to hold it through the floor. Then once I have it set on top, I'll come this direction through the toe kick and screw it into the 2x4. All right, I think we're ready to tip this up for the last time. Get her leveled. Oh, I gotta get this cord in here though. Come on, cable. Okay, that worked. Pants are unbuckled. I didn't mention it while I was putting it together, but the easy levelers on these Runza cabinets only get one leveler in between two adjacent cabinets. So I did a leveler on the two big ones and then one on the end. I figured the big ones needed the support because they'll have the most weight in them, especially with the microwave there, and this is gonna have just 3 full-size 30-inch drawers in it. And to go about actually leveling this, you just do each end, get the corners set, and then bring the middle up to match, and so that everything is fully supported. We'll start here with the corner. Easy as that. Well, that went pretty darn quick, getting it all level. Here's a pretty good view of the easy levelers in action. You can see the feet are nice and rounded, and all 8 of them, or is it 10 here? Actually 2, 4, yeah, it's all 10 of them have nice solid contact with the floor, keeping everything well supported. I did end up wedging shims under these open areas to keep the cabinets from rocking once the heavy countertop was placed on top. The levelers obviously have a narrower footprint than the freestanding cabinet, so you definitely need to support the box like it would be on its own. Cabinets happen tomorrow, and one of the last steps that we need to take care of is get the skin panel on the back of this island. I'm gonna be gluing and pin nailing this on, so I felt like it would be easiest to have access on the inside as well, because not only for the skin panel, but we're putting some decorative door panels on the outside of the skin panel even, and those will get screwed from this back side. So having this top open makes that a little bit easier. It's a 4x8 sheet, so the plan is just to slap it up against there, just grab around the outside edges, cut it, and then glue it on. Our faithful friend Shane is back today to help. He will be my second hand in getting these last minute cabinet tasks wrapped up before the countertop guys arrive tomorrow. We're almost there. Yep, now we're gonna do a 180. I'm gonna shim up on either corner to get it to the same height as the bottom of these bases. You notice how all the cabinets are lifted off the ground like quarter inch. It's for the LVP to slide under and so that if there's ever a water leak or anything, cabinets don't wick moisture up. Beauty. If I go to 7 3/8, that should put me there. Harbor Freight's $20 pin nailer for the win. I've never used one of these things before, but look how tiny these things are. It is just like literal sewing needles that are going in there. Those are 1/2 inch long. Yeah, I might do some test shots on this first because I don't know what to think about this. That is so tiny. That's unbelievable. I can sell this for 20 bucks. Definitely looking better already with the skin panels on and our little outside corner moldings here, which I just wood glued on. I'm not sure if it's gonna stick to the paint or not long term, but I'll glue it back on if it pops off. Now we need to get the decorative doors going here, which are these guys, 18 by 30 door panels, just same exact thing you'd see on a normal cabinet door, but we're gonna screw them on from the inside of the cabinet. We just did the math. 18 by 30 doors are actually 17.5 wide. Between the edges of our corner trims, we have 88 3/4 here. 87.5 is what the door width is when you add up all 5 of those. So we can fit just over 3/16 of an inch between all the door panels and this corner molding here. Luckily, that worked out well. So we'll have to use just 3 of our little horseshoe spacer shims to get those just right. We'll use that as sort of our guide block and get them screwed in there.
Don't you feel it in your bones? It shakes you to your core and it chills your soul. I got my flag held high.
The island turned out well. I think that will do, at least for the countertop install. The panels on this side seemed a little bit wide. It doesn't seem like it's gonna fit between this corner molding and this face frame. So we're gonna keep those off for now. It looks okay without it. And we're doing round 2 of the pantry cabinet, which If you recall, we messed up by hastily cutting the outlet hole in the back, only to find out that we thought the bottom edge was the top edge. So it was cut a full outlet width down. And of course, Shane and I got this up here, sat it down, we lifted the box off of it, and my tool bench, which we've now moved over here, had a multi-tool sitting on it, which the box knocked off and put a scratch in the side of the cabinet. So if you look closely, you can see it. I've already tried filling it a little bit, but it doesn't look great. This is just karma, I guess. This pantry cabinet's giving us a run for our money. Win some, lose most, as I always say. All right, take 2 on the pantry cabinet, and I did not film it so that we didn't jinx it. Boom. That one is pretty much spot on. The real moment of truth will be when we get to the refrigerator wall cabinet up there too. So despite our little boo-boo to start, we turned out okay. We're thinking we're gonna put a full decorative panel on this, either that or do a little fun DIY project, like a custom little like shallow cabinet I've seen on the sides of these. It just looks like a custom panel, but it opens up and you can put like keys and stuff hanging in there. So that may be a future project, or I'll just repaint the whole side of that. Good news is the outlet seems to fit. Moving on to this guy, get through that, and that's probably the hardest cabinets we have yet to install. The real game changer on this was putting the laser level up there. That way we could make sure that this was in line with that panel without needing that wall cabinet, which made it way easier to get this thing sit in place to mock up where the outlet needed to be. So that was the secret. Second try was the charm, and everything lined up perfectly, so we finally got this cabinet into its resting place. And it's a good thing too, because the very next day was countertop templating, which we have a really cool video coming up going start to finish on our Quartz countertops. If you're one of the 17 out of every 100 watching right now, thank you so much for taking the second to hit subscribe. The other 83, you know what to do. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.